Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Boys Gone Wild. We're happy that you come to join us. We were just in the middle of a discussion, weren't we, Andrew?
Yes, we were.
What were we talking about?
We were talking about what it's like, how the modern workforce is changing.
The modern workforce is changing.
Place,
is it?
Place and place, yeah.
Both.
What? Well, actually, funny you mention that. I think both are actually going through fundamental shifts in paradigm shifts.
That is all we've got time for, so thank you
very
very much.
Thank you for having me.
No, but the workplace is actually changing.
You're not wrong.
Because before, I feel you could get away with having a drab old office. I think the UK office actually did a lot for changing the way we looked at offices. It paints in such a bleak light. No offices, I don't think offices are like that anymore.
Well, now they just put beanbags in them.
Yeah.
for their workers' mental health.
Yeah. There's a lot more of that shit, you know what I mean?
It is tough to be sad on a beanbag.
Do you not think you can be sad on a beanbag? You can, obviously.
You can, but it's tough.
Yeah. But sometimes you want to be sad, so you don't want to be laying out beanbags when someone's grieving.
No.
Because they want to...
No, I'd argue that's disrespectful.
Yeah. I was on B-Tech Philosophers, a podcast you guys should listen to as well. And the discussion got to the idea of someone who would only fight on a beanbag, or on a bouncy castle.
Someone who would only fight on a bouncy castle.
Yeah, which means you have no risk of hurting the other person.
I don't know, you can still get punched in the face.
Yes, you can, but they don't.
And kicked in the nuts.
No, okay.
Broken arms.
All right, I wish I hadn't said that.
A lot of the actual fighting, a lot of the damage from fighting comes from like direct bodily hits rather than being ricocheted off nearby benches.
Yeah, sort. I'm thinking
it's
more...
a fucking dumb conversation.
No, I think...
there's no risk about fighting on a bouncy castle. It's nonsense.
No, there's less. Sorry, I misspoke.
Sure.
I'd like to apologise. But yes, no, it's about hitting your head on the curb of a pavement.
Yeah, but you know...
You lose that risk.
Yeah. There's one risk. It's small, yeah. You lose the risk of hitting something else.
Well, part of me thought the reason why it would be good that most, I don't know, duels or pub brawls have to be set out in a bouncy castle means that you have to inflate the bouncy castle. Right. So you cannot fight until it's inflated.
Well, there might be
you have a 20-minute
cooling off period.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many fights would actually take place.
Yeah, because they'll be waiting. If you're waiting for the bouncy castle to fill up with air, then
your problems don't really seem important anymore.
Exactly. It's like that old Jim Jeffries bit about how if
the muskets,
you can't quick draw because by the time you've done it, you've cooled down.
If only technology wouldn't keep advancing.
So how have you been? How's your week been?
It's been a momentous occasion.
Has it?
Yes. 1 year ago on this podcast, disaster struck. We, in the attempt to find out whether autocorrect changes the word cunt to anything, which it doesn't, I ended up sending the word cunt to a police officer.
Yeah. Female. She was female.
She was female. Still
Which
is.
Which makes it worse.
It does. It's just trying to protect our streets.
Yeah.
And that then landed me in a year-long disciplinary.
Yeah. Fair enough. In some ways.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, because if they knew the actual context, maybe not. But that part of the reason, it was amazing you didn't get fired, actually.
Well, because they believed it was accidental.
Yes. Well, then if they believed it was accidental, you probably shouldn't have got the disciplinary.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
They could have given me 6 months.
It was either, you should have either been fired or nothing.
Yeah. If you believe it's accidental, then come on.
Yeah.
Give me 6 months.
Is it gross negligence or gross incompetence?
It would be gross negligence.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it wasn't incompetent.
It was negligent.
It was negligent. I didn't think of all the processes that they stick to when sending that message. Yeah. So I was negligent in my work.
Yeah,
also, they told me.
It was gross negligence.
It was gross. Just a bit disgusting. But yeah, so that was a year ago. So we're officially off the disciplinary, everyone.
Which means?
Nothing much.
It means that you have the potential to get a pay rise. Yeah?
Yeah, bring on that money.
So it's not even a pay rise, is it?
No.
It just means that you could now...
I'm now eligible for a pay rise.
Theoretically,
I can get one.
So you have a lot of people at work who have been paid more than you who are far less experienced.
Yeah.
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 Sure.
Yeah, definitely.
How is your relationship with work now?
The same.
Same as always?
Yeah.
Relentlessly
boring.
Shoveling meat into a grave?
I'm not sure into a grave.
Okay.
That seems a bit too much of a gross metaphor.
Fine. What would you do? How would you metaphor?
Shoveling coal into a furnace that doesn't work.
Doesn't work?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like you're fueling a fire that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So it feels like you don't need to shovel the coal in because nothing's coming as a result of it. Yet every day you shovel the coal in.
Now you've mentioned the disciplinary, and you've tried to be talking about it on the pod for the last episode certainly, but you brought up quite a lot of times. What do you want from us?
I would well wishes.
Yeah.
Maybe a moment of silence every now and again.
Yeah.
And I think we should just take a lot of we can learn lessons from how the Queen died, and the response to that. To my end of disciplinary.
What do you mean the 10 days of mourning?
Yeah.
Would you be lying in state?
I could lie in state and you could queue up to look at me. Just a free man who is eligible for a pay rise.
Because he's lying in state, 24-hour queues, snaking around London.
Just so that, and I'm alive.
You're just lying in there.
I'm just lying there. I'm not even asleep. I'm awake, but just lying in there.
It's hell.
It's not good for me. It's not how I want to spend my time. But no, I just
Philip
thought...
Schofield pushing in front of the queue.
What is all that?
What is going on?
Why is everyone getting so pissed off?
Why is this country so fucking... It's just one after another, and it's always it is just yo-yoing from the fucking obscene to the ridiculous. Because you've got Putin up in the ante with nuclear war, and then it's still dominating with literally some of the most petty shit ever.
Yeah.
I really don't care that...
They didn't even
respect David Beckham for queuing and eating donuts and eating crisps.
He did chuff him down. What's David Beckham's go-to donut? Jelly. It's jelly.
I was like, I really don't know how to answer this, but you got it.
It's jelly. Don't really know why. He's a bit of a jelly. He's a bit of a jelly brain.
No, I'll tell you why it's jelly, because as much as he dresses up and it seems very metropolitan, metrosexual,
that would be the dough.
The food, I think he likes to be taken back home to when he grew up, and he grew up in quite a poor part of London. So I reckon he loves home comforts, and he just tries to remember his childhood. So he's a very sentimental man,
right?
So I don't think he's getting all those fancy, fucking pretentious donuts. I like jelly,
such as
salted caramel whirl.
Right. Yep. Those are a popular one.
Oh my god! I touched it. I let it go because I touched it. I slapped it.
Yeah, it's just a fly.
It's not a fly. It's
of course, that's a fly. That's not a bee, freak.
It's the fattest fly I've ever seen. Look at it.
It's a fly. It's a fat fly. It's not a bee. It's just a fly.
Yeah, it's fat as hell. It was the fattest fly I've ever seen.
For those of you on Spotify, there's a fly in the room.
Yes, sorry. Needs to do it like Hugh Edwards. And as you can see now, there's a rather large fly that is flying around the room. We are not going to speak over the funeral because we decided
the fly
amongst us that it was understandably quite disrespectful to the Queen. Oh, fuck it, I'm going to come. I think he often whispered out how he was going to come during the funeral.
Yeah, and they just knew exactly when it was coming so they could mute him. Look at that face, it's coming. Mute. There.
He's doing a lap.
That man, just leave the fly alone.
Okay,
that man deserves so many days of holiday.
Yeah.
He did fine.
Yeah.
How would you rate him out of 10?
I went back and watched the announcement of the Queen.
Yeah.
I don't know what I wanted.
Yeah.
And maybe there was too much pressure on it because I knew he'd been rehearsing it.
Yeah. And you kind of missed the event, so you didn't have it live.
Didn't blow me away.
Right. The news should speak the most volume in that context.
I just feel like this is obviously, he's viewed this as the biggest moment of his career, is announcing the Queen is dead. And I was sort of ready for a bit of like, he's a great newsreader. I think he certainly does election nights really well. When I look back at the footage of him, I was like, yeah, I guess so. But it doesn't feel like, it's not extra special Hugh.
Yeah. What is extra special Hugh?
I don't know. I wanted to see it. That's why I watched the video back.
A bit more pizzazz.
Just, you've been rehearsing.
It's an interesting thing to rehearse because I'm not taking away from the
Queen is dead.
Yeah, well, there you go. That could have happened. I mean, I'm not taking away from the pressure of what it was, but fundamentally, it's just speak slowly.
Yeah, and clearly.
What
did you think of it? You thought he did well?
Yeah, fine.
But we all want him to do well.
Yeah, but that doesn't take away from the fact that he did do well.
Sure. David Beckham not skipping the queue. Fair play to him. But that doesn't mean that other VIPs shouldn't.
They didn't skip the queue. They were filming.
Yeah. But also, I don't know. I do feel if you're a celeb, maybe you should be allowed to skip the queue.
Well, I don't think they should. Why should they?
Because if they're celebs, should they be in the queue with everyone else?
It depends what kind of celeb.
Yeah. Because it's not quite the same with them waiting the whole time with fucking...
People hurling abuse at them.
hurling abuse.
Throwing
grubby fingers.
Donuts at
You know,
them.
they got like sticky fingers.
What, the general public? Yeah.
Hello.
Mine are sticky right now.
Yeah, exactly.
They always are.
I don't know. I don't really mind. It's like it's quite clear. We know why they'd skip the queue. It's not like everyone's so shocked at the,
but they
the
just
obvious.
They
thing
were filming something.
What were they filming?
There's something. Well, presume for this morning.
Well, let's see it. Do you know Holly's thinking of quitting Good Morning Britain because of the stress? This morning.
Literally just said it. Because of the stress. You have to get up early.
Because she's no, not on the job. She's in floods of tears because of the abuse that's been held at her.
Because of the queue skip.
Yeah.
Teacher to skip the queue.
I think also I have a lot more sympathy for these celebrities after our food waste scandal because we know firsthand how nasty the British public can be.
Yeah,
and we also know how scary they are as a mob mentality. You know,
it is. It is a very frightening thought. And I can understand that they want to be protected at all times.
Last week we didn't manage to talk about it, but I had an industry meeting that had been planned after Edinburgh, and we've been in a couple of industry meetings.
We've been schmoozing with some suits.
We've been schmoozing with some suits. And I don't know, I feel a bit naive, but we keep, and this happened again, I think we keep thinking we're often meeting in quite nice places.
Yeah. And
there's a thought in your head, because you see it in the movies, that you're going to get...
Wined and dined.
You're going to get wined and dined, all right? And that's sort of where the excitement comes from.
Yeah.
If this leads nowhere, at least
we got a nice...
We got a nice meal out of it.
A nice lamb chop and a Côte de Rhone.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't say it better myself.
I couldn't agree more, yes.
Yes. So once again, I saw this and I perused the menu and I got a bit excited.
Perused, did you?
Yeah, I perused it, and it was at a time which was a bit early. It was 11:30, so it was like...
AM.
Yeah. It's a tough one.
I don't think you're ever going to be wined and dined at 11:30 AM.
I set the time as well. At 11.
Why would you do that?
Because I wanted to start the day early because we had a podcast record that day.
That's true.
So she moved it to 11:30, and I was like, "All right, she's gunning for lunch. That's what she's gunning for lunch."
This is a lunch woman, right?
And then we had there's like the place you sit to be seated outside the restaurant,
right? And
we had the meeting there. Watched other people eat, and then I once again had the thing, what would you like to drink?
Right.
And I see at this point, I'm like, I know this is probably going, which is I don't end up with my belly full.
Right.
And then I panicked and I got a Diet Coke.
Right.
They didn't have Coke Zero.
Right.
She had a pot of herbal tea.
Oh dear.
Which, I think is a much classier thing. I think ordering drinks says a lot. It wasn't alcohol vibes. You couldn't show off that way.
It was in the AM.
It wasn't the AM, and when you're not doing alcohol and you've had your morning coffee, I actually had two, which was a lot for me, and I was jet lagged, so I couldn't go intense caffeine. It does put you in a weird situation when you just come in and you're like, God, you don't know what to order. So I remember when we went on a meeting and you panicked, you got yourself a cappuccino.
You got a
cappuccino. Right?
I contest the fact that I panicked.
Well, I saw the look in your eyes. You were nervous, and then they asked what to get. I got a very classy. I think I literally got a fizzy soda lime.
Right, is that
so fizzy water with fresh lime?
I would get a cappuccino often in that situation.
What, lots of milk?
Yeah, I'm a milky boy.
Hot frothy milk.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
that's my go-to coffee order.
Is it?
Yeah.
I didn't know you was that into milk.
Well,
that's what my girlfriend drinks.
She is a milky broad. What's your go-to coffee?
White Americano.
Bite your lip at me. I guess it is frothy. To be honest, I ordered it when I first had a coffee out. I ordered that, and it's just kind of stuck.
No, it was fine. It wasn't a bad order. I mean, what's the most embarrassing one? How can you panic the most? I think
hot chocolate.
Hot chocolatey milk.
Hot chocolate milk with marshmallows.
Yeah. So once again, I guess for people who are listening in the industry who haven't had their first couple of meetings with suits and ties, I think it's good to shatter the illusions that are being told to our kids about how
in the mainstream media.
And maybe this is a 90s thing. Maybe this is sort of Blair years sort of wealth where, agents take you out to wine and dine.
It needs to go along with some sort of economic boom.
There's a surplus, and maybe it's because we're in recession times, the fact that, we don't get wine and dine. But, I was starving by the end of it.
Did you not eat anything?
I didn't eat anything.
How long were you there for?
2 hours probably. Maybe an hour and a half, to be honest. So,
well, I presume she paid for it.
Do you know what? Yeah, I didn't eat breakfast because I was so excited for lunch.
Well, that's what we did.
Yeah.
We
both left.
We both left on empty stomachs, ready to get wined and dined.
Yeah.
With a G&T and a coq au vin.
Yeah,
but
just feeling a bit of class, feeling a bit of show business.
Neither were provided.
Exactly. And it made you feel, there was, I don't know, it feels like I'm still waiting for the moment of being wined and dined.
We haven't got in the right door yet.
No, we haven't. Which is fair enough. I think it was a naivety from us. And I have a lot of unwanted thought syndrome whenever I go into these sort of meetings. And I have unwanted thought syndrome. I think everyone does though, so I don't bring it up.
Yeah.
Which is what's the worst thing I could possibly do.
Yeah.
And
poop in a napkin. It's probably up there.
So you're meeting with an agent, a producer, whatever.
Yeah.
And you're having like a sit down talk. You've never met them before. They're excited to meet you. They love your work.
Yeah.
I think so. Poop in a napkin.
Just say one second and poop in the napkin.
I don't think I'm gonna have to bar that.
Right, no pooping.
I think that's too much. That's obviously worse, but I don't think that's fun.
Because you could just say kill them.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't really work.
I still think ordering bread, rolling it up into the balls, and then eating it really fast, and when diluting it with water in your mouth.
Right,
so
because it's clearly painful.
You make it softer so you can swallow it. And but then you keep doing this. I think the most embarrassing thing, you're sitting in the meals, there's the bread there, is you keep ordering more bread.
Right.
That's one of the least classy things you can do.
You kind of talk with your mouth full.
You're just demolishing the bread.
It suggests that you can't eat normally. Like the only way you can possibly get energy into your body is by rolling up bread and then diluting it with water so you can swallow it.
And it's just so loud and you're in pain. And it's like such a weird time to do this. Sure, if you've been stuck in the desert and you just come out and you're desperate for food you don't care about. But in this meeting, did he have to act like this?
Yeah, I think that's one of the worst.
For sure.
Well, I guess it's all food and drink based. That's what we're going for.
What about saying, do you like magic tricks? They say, not really. Well, can I show you one now? And then she clearly looks awkward. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you do that thing where you rip the tablecloth off.
Oh, yeah.
It
doesn't it just goes everywhere. Insisting you and her do the duet from the end of High School Musical 1.
What's that?
Is it Breaking Free?
I'm breaking free. Is it?
Soaring.
Well, that's
the big number.
Yeah, that's up there as well. I mean, we talked about High School Musical. That's 3 pods in a row, I think. We discussed High School Musical.
Heck yeah, man.
HSM.
HSM.
And then afterwards, I don't know how you are in these sort of situations.
Probably not good.
Yeah, I'd finished the meeting. It's gone well. It was fine. I was hungry, but I like going to Treat Town. I like buying things. I like buying food out more than you do, for sure. And I was in the middle of central London.
Right.
I'm hungry.
Sure. You've set the scene. almost perfectly.
This is the open.
A true storyteller.
The ratio was in the middle of central London.
And hungry.
Hungry. So you got a lot of choices. All right.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm ready, I feel like I deserve a reward.
Sure.
I haven't eaten lunch.
A sweet reward or a savoury reward?
No, a savoury reward. I might have a sweet one afterwards.
Sure.
But I'll see that after I've eaten my savoury.
That's yet to be seen.
I'm hungry.
You're a hungry boy. Belly's rumbling.
I got cash in my wallet.
Right.
Like, I'm not doing bad.
Weird.
I got money.
Why did you get it out?
I'm not, it's not all balls to the walls.
Sure.
I got a little bit in the savings.
You've just been treated to a free diet
Exactly.
Coke.
So it stressed me out because there's too many options.
Right.
So I constantly was
Were
going
you going
through...
to eat out? Like sit and eat in a restaurant?
Well, yeah, or like a high-end fast food place.
Sure. Right.
What Leon's trying to be, even though Leon's dog shit.
Whoops.
Sorry. I considered Bone Daddy's, which is a ramen place, but it felt a bit too... Having a waiter there, it just felt a bit too much for me. Right. Having to play service on my own, not there for me.
Sure.
I then settled on Mexican, big queue, couldn't do Mexican, and then walked around for a long time, really getting in a tiz. It didn't look good. I was like, it'd really taken away from I thought I hadn't been in London for a couple of weeks, and now I'm back in Central. I'm seeing that the White Stone. I'm seeing that London is most beautiful. It's a lovely day. I just had a meeting, and I was already losing the feeling of glitz and glam because I'm short circuiting as I'm trying to think of a different place to eat.
This novel hasn't got any legs, by the way.
I settle on Pokeball, which is I've got into Pokeball.
Silly name.
It's
a silly name.
It's a silly name.
What is
it? Which is sort of a rice and chicken salad, but it's done well. So it's like
they
sushi
have one
rice.
thing on the menu?
No, they got different. They got fish rice salads.
Right.
It's like a
but
healthy option.
Rice salads.
It's a healthy option. And as you know, I get really affected by food.
Yeah.
In the sense that if I eat vitamins, I will feel either a placebo or a genuine surge of power.
Yeah.
Which I don't. Certainly, BB doesn't.
Yeah.
And also, if I eat, certain types of white bread, I feel my power decreases.
Sure.
And I feel a lot of people aren't as sensitive power-wise to eating. It's very much like a video game, like a Pac-Man. You eat the right thing, it's like you get bigger. Maybe you eat the wrong thing, you get smaller, or you lose points.
Yeah, got it.
How
does
the Pokeball gives
rank?
me a lot of strength because I digest chicken well, and then having the salad and all the little. Vitamins and stuff, and then it has lovely sauce in it, which was probably not good for me, but you got to treat yourself. So in that situation,
yeah,
I reckon you'd go home and make yourself a sandwich.
Yeah, probably. Well, I might get something out. I might get a meal deal on the way back and treat myself to a meal deal when I get home. I like eating at home, mostly.
Do. You have quite a different way, because for me,
if I'm with someone, I want to eat out.
You don't like... to me, I felt I had the world at my fingertips. I could eat anywhere I want.
Well, it depends. If finances weren't an issue and there was nothing to do that day, then I might well treat myself.
I've seen what you spend your money on, Drew.
But my stance on it is there's nothing better than eating in front of a film or a TV show, because all of your senses are engaged and having a lovely time. The sight and the sound is on the film, enjoying the film. You've got your smell and your taste buds on the food.
You love it.
And the
you'd really like to be tossed off during, wouldn't you? Just to add, or do you think that would take away from the eating?
Take away from it. You can't. You gotta separate business and pleasure.
You can't have all your senses.
No, you can't. And it's also just like it's a bit gross. And well, part of the problem with eating is you can't, when you're watching a film or something, you can't watch something that you really want to watch because your eyes are going up and down.
Have you stopped doing that?
No, I tend to put on something that I don't care as much about.
Yeah.
It depends on the food type.
Because I feel like you used to watch things you did care about while eating, but you matured like I did.
Yes, I suppose we're all just slowly marching our way towards you.
Yeah, I matured when I realised, like, I had a curry recently, I was watching a film, I was like, we're not watching this. We're going to watch something like a Seinfeld, something that is like, just have it on.
Just get it there. You need it. It's something that you can basically listen to.
Yes.
You don't have to be watching it.
The food's the main character.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And you've got no time for these side hussies.
Yeah. Did you watch The Queen's Funeral?
I watched all of it.
Yeah, all of it.
I was pretty much all of it.
I think you watched more than me. You didn't even know it was on at that time.
Yeah, I was shocked to find out.
And then you bloody watched all of it.
Yeah, I watched the vast majority of it because I had the day off and I thought, why the fuck not? Why the fuck not? Then I just had it on. It got boring when there was the 2 hours of walking.
Yeah.
That was an odd one.
Wait, the 2 hours of walking, I missed that.
After the funeral, they walked from the funeral place to another place.
Yeah.
And it was a long one. Past, I don't know, it was down what do they call it? The prom? It's not the prom. Is it the prom?
The mall.
The mall? Yeah, the mall. They walked down there and then there was this whole other ceremony. I mean, because I think part of the reason I watched all of it was because during watching it, I'd watched so much of it that I was like, if someone falls over and I miss it now, I'll be livid. So I had to, just in case something happened.
There was a chance that someone would fall over.
There was like 80-year-old men walking for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I was surprised. And like they were marching. It was like onto the beat. And I was like, something's got to give here. There's all of their knees are dodgy. One of them's going to be hitting the deck fairly soon.
Yeah, so
I wanted a feint. I did want a feint. I wanted something to go wrong.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. How much? It's a spectrum. What level did you want to go wrong? Because obviously, going too wrong, it sort of can ruin the event and actually have quite a negative effect on the country. But going wrong enough that it's entertainment for you personally.
Priest farting. High up on the list.
High up
on the list of priest fart. But also, I did want someone to fall over.
Yeah.
Like not faint, but fall over.
Okay.
Just trip
so
up.
it's not a medical...
Yeah, I don't want someone to, pass out.
Yeah.
But I'd like them to hit the deck.
Yeah.
If they just tripped on a curb or something.
Yeah.
That was what was necessary.
I didn't understand why it was a bunch of random geezers picking up the coffin. Like it was all these people who'd never done shit before. Like Hugh was saying, these is like, they've only been in the service for like 3 months. Well, maybe don't get these boys.
Maybe that was a surprise.
I didn't get
what's
this. And also, they didn't seem to be that straight lines. Like a lot of them, I didn't feel like, I was ready to be blown away by the timing.
The timing of the
marching, some of it,
yeah,
and some of it, it just didn't look. It didn't look like the Chinese when they do it.
It didn't. I thought that it doesn't. It's nothing on North Korea
or North Korea.
Yeah, North Korea have it down.
Yeah, when they're doing like Tai Chi with 5 million people and they're all in the same.
Yeah, or like when they have the processions for King John.
Yeah.
The fuck he is nowadays.
King John.
But they are meticulously in line with each other.
And I felt like they had loads of shots, and it felt like the lines were like snaking.
Yeah, and it wasn't as bang on.
It's because they've been in the Navy for 3 months. They're like.
Do you mean 22. The coffin people?
It was when the coffin first arrived, right at the beginning of the procession.
The Navy folk. They had to hold hands.
Yeah.
That's something else. No, so they were holding hands at the very start. Yeah. And you remember they kind of walked her in and stuff and they were pulling the coffin. That's what they did for 2 hours.
Yeah.
They were holding hands for 2 hours. Imagine the sweat.
And who comes up with these traditions?
Well, there was a man who was walking there who was in charge of the whole thing. So he's in charge of
because there's a lot of stuff there.
Royal events, and it's a role. It's a hereditary role.
Hereditary?
Imagine just being born and be like... I want to be a painter.
No.
Sorry, son. You have to organise the Queen's funeral when she dies. That's just one bloke who's in charge of the whole thing.
I guess it keeps tradition going.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
He must love... Yeah, you got to hope they love it.
And I guess they will. I mean, I can't think of anything worse. But I think, the coffin, it never looks steady, the nature of it. And it is always weird when, because in other funerals, it's people that are close to the person who died being coffin bearers.
That was what I was waiting for. I was waiting for the gang.
Yeah, but
Prince Andrew on his own.
Prince Andrew just holding the weight of the nation as he has done.
And he's got a bare back, and people are like hissing at him.
He sees it as his moment. He sees it as his moment for redemption.
Yeah, exactly. And then we forgive him.
Finally. And then he becomes king.
Yes.
How many people have to die for him to become king? Because
I think he's like 9th in line.
Yeah, because it's
after
William's son.
Charles William's children, which is like 2 or 3. 3. He's got 3 children.
But then if
Harry, and then all of Harry's children, which is 2. So it's about
He's
10.
not far off.
He's not far off.
One bad crash could do it.
Could get Prince Andrew.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting one, wouldn't it?
Oh, it would be brilliant.
Do you want King Andrew?
Of course fucking do.
What, Pedo King?
Yeah, Pedo King. The Pedo King.
Yeah. They're not the King of Nonsense.
Yeah, he I can imagine him aggressively getting involved in politics.
Yes. Yeah.
Lowering the age of consent. As his first tattoo. Because it's like, I'm the king now, what are you going to do?
Yeah, because as I've said before, in the British Constitution, you've got one, you can fuck it up one. You have one attempt where you could change the law before they get rid of the monarchy.
Yeah.
So you can change the law for a day.
Yeah. That'll be true.
And then your head's off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because technically, I still think you can make laws, right?
I think so. Yeah. You have some sort of...
But if you do, then we tear up the Constitution. Yeah. We forget
exactly.
About it.
But because the Prime Minister gets their authority directly from the King or Queen.
Yeah.
So surely they can make laws. Or he'll just be like, nah.
Did it make you feel more or less royalist?
The same. Nothing really changed. I was like...
Yeah.
There was no moment at which I was moved in any way whatsoever.
Didn't get moved
once. I was waiting.
You watched all of it.
I watched for like 4 hours.
So much of it. And you didn't get moved.
Nothing. Other than some of the singing was quite good.
Yes, the singing was good. I thought the shots of London were very nice. It was, it looked good. It was shot well. I thought. I just think they do these sort of events.
Well, no, it was a historical event, and it was cool to watch. Just it all unfolding, but it didn't change any opinions or.
I think the BBC are.
I wasn't actually they're all right.
Yeah,
let's keep them in.
But apparently 4 billion people watched it worldwide. I've just seen that stat.
How many people are there in the world?
7 billion.
That can't be true then.
It's just a lot, isn't it?
It's just a lot
it's
of
over
people.
Half people watching that. it just doesn't quite. One, I don't know how you collect that sort of data.
So was it the amount of TVs switched on, or the people?
No, it must be
can't
people
be that.
because a lot of people watched it in
There
pubs.
probably aren't 4 billion TVs in the world. It's a really tough question. Asking the big questions.
I don't know about that one.
Do you not? Do you think there are 4 billion TVs in the world?
I think there's just about. I'd say there might be 5
You think
billion.
it's bang on?
I think it's about 4 bill.
Okay, yeah.
4 billy.
Well, that would mean all of the TVs.
No, because there's loads of old TVs.
How do they even begin? Because you can only like work it out by how many TVs are tuned in.
Yeah.
What happens if someone left the TV on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure that's a big.
Minus a billion.
A billion people left their tellies on.
There's a lot of negligent folks out there.
In the world.
In the world.
Because the thing is, it's all over. But even if it's close to being true, it is incredible the amount of people who. It's just how influential the event is. It is incredible the reach of it.
Oh yeah. Well, it surprises me how many
people care.
Yeah, and how many nations care about it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them, like the the Irish response and kind of the Scottish response as well, is that fuck the monarchy. And why isn't it the same? Because you find it, and I mean, you will get it in some ex-colonies and stuff. But there's still I'm surprised by the outpouring of love that there's been from ex-colonies who were treated terribly under the British Empire.
I'll tell you what, I think what the royals do very well is because there's sort of no level of that sort of grandeur anywhere left in the world of that on that scale. I think you can't help but get swept up in it. Do you know what I mean? I mean, obviously, if you're a strong political leader of an ex-colony who, as a part of your kind of politics shtick is being anti-colonial. But I just think when you saw people when they're walking in, you see all this shit, you're like, these fucking people are mental. But you get swept up in it.
You do.
If you go to Buckingham Palace, meet the Queen and go for a state dinner, you're gonna get swept up.
Something gonna happen.
Do you know what I mean?
Something gonna happen.
I'm gonna start. I just feel like even if you're a Republican, something will just force you into a curtsy nervously.
Oh yeah, but that's
because it's all built around creating that feeling of like.
Yeah, but that's more about the state leaders rather than just the average Joe Public.
Joe Public.
Yeah. Joe Public in loads of other countries is
so in Uganda,
equally sad.
Joe Public.
Joe Public's going, oh no, the Queen's died.
Yeah, but I just don't know how political Joe Public is in Uganda. I think it maybe has bigger issues.
I think you underestimate Joe Public.
I don't know Joe Public as well as you.
I am very familiar with Joe Public. But no, it has surprised me. But how would you rate the funeral out of 10?
Yeah, it was. I'd give it an 8. I'd give it a solid 8. It was I think, like a lot of the processions. I think the processions could have been tighter. The lines,
as in physically.
Yeah, and I think they could have been more. It was very. The scale was amazing. The way it was shot was amazing. But there could have been a couple more wow moments. A little bit more.
Bon Jovi.
Yeah, it was very like they played it classic. They tried to play it safe. They played it like consistent. But a couple, and when there was that big thing, so you had the Navy marching in at the beginning, and then you had all those guys in mad outfits, so like which looked cool, so like the Highland Brigade or whatever they were, and it was like they all were wearing slightly different outfits, that group, and really showed up the Navy. So the Navy looked really dull and boring, and these lot,
at least the Navy all had the same hats on. That's what I
mean. The problem with that one is it looked weirdly messy.
Because
it was like everyone was wearing different hats. I'm like, this is not your vibe.
Take some lessons
if it's
from
Carnival,
North Korea.
If it's a carnival, sure.
Are you saying that like...
I'm saying carnival.
Carnival, yeah.
Yeah, and I will not change how I say that.
Apologies, yeah. You do.
If it is a carnival...
Right.
And you all got your different hats on, sure, that's a carnival.
Exactly.
But this is kind of the opposite of a carnival.
Carnival is about celebrating individuality.
Exactly. This is not. This is about...
cohesion.
It's about rigidity and cohesion. So, and I would have said...
That's what I want Hugh Edwards to say.
I would have said... Wait a second, is this a bloody carnival?
Yeah, that's what I want Hugh Edwards to say. Hold on a minute, am I watching a carnival?
Yeah, so a couple of moments like that took away from it a little bit, and I wouldn't mind a couple more wow moments. I didn't see the cannons go, which I can imagine.
They went a lot.
Did they give you a wow moment?
Kind of, but I was also... The horses reacted negatively to them sometimes, so I was... moderately happy that a rider might get flung from a horse.
Sure.
It didn't happen.
Torn.
I was there. Oh, no, it didn't. But... Overall, it was a success, a resounding success. And now it's all over.
Yeah. Bookmark boys.
Bookmark boys.
So, you've heard us talk about Bookmark Boys, all right? You've heard us exclaim about Bookmark Boys. You've heard us scream from the rooftops for Bookmark Boys. But this time, we mean it. Every single time before...
It's meant nothing. I felt nothing.
You know, you might feel duped. You might have bought bookmarks before we were lying.
Well, you're an idiot.
Because after the Queen's funeral,
right,
there's been a change of heart. I've stopped pretending. And I thought, I'm going to be honest about bookmarks. They suck ass. I thought until I used one. They're great.
What? Right, so you thought Bookmark Boys sucked ass.
What the point I was making, I've been lying about Bookmark Boys for the whole time.
Yeah, let's do a quick summary.
I actually think after watching the funeral, I wanted to be more honest. So I was going to come on here and say they suck.
But then you thought you couldn't come on here without using it because you at least had to test it.
And then I tested it, and I was actually right all along, even though I was dishonest. Bookmark Boys are great.
Right, whereas I've gone the other way around.
Sure.
I used to believe everything I was saying about Bookmark Boys, and then I used them and I realised they suck ass.
Bookmark Boys. The bookmarks of the breed.
Bookmarks of the breed.
They're like the Geox of bookmarks.
Yeah. Well, they are the Geox of bookmarks.
So I...
Can you move your...
apologies. I encouraged Andrew to watch this as well. We recently watched the 13 Lives film about the Thai cave rescue, which you actually brought up the Thai cave rescue most because of Elon Musk, because you're obsessed with Elon Musk calling one of the Thai cave rescuers a paedophile.
A pedo, yeah.
What was the story briefly?
Elon Musk tried to lend a hand to the rescue effort by suggesting certain technology, to which one of the people intimately involved with the Thai cave rescue, who was also a resident of Thailand but an English national, replied, "That's not helpful. We don't need that." To which Elon Musk replied, calling him a pedo man. And then there was a court case. Then the guy living in Thailand then sued Elon Musk for defamation and lost.
Really? Interesting. Yeah. Well, because he was a pedo?
Yes. They checked his hard drive, and it was not good reading.
Well, he's trying to get kids out of a cave.
Exactly.
He was
alarmingly quick on the scene. But he was trying to get in the cave.
This is exactly what we didn't want to happen. He gets...
Is that a brass icon? This is the last thing they want to do.
So the reason why I've got into this story, I've actually got a bit weirdly obsessed with it.
You've messaged me multiple times.
I know, it's weird.
About it.
And in also a sincere way. It's because of Bob on the boat in Bali. Remember Bob on the boat in Bali?
Yeah, I remember Bob on the boat in Bali.
So he's a scuba dive guy. He's an English guy living out in Asia who's a scuba dive guy. And on the boat, he almost in tears, he explained how insane he'd seen the film and the documentary about how insane what they'd managed to do, and he described it in such great detail from someone who does scuba dive. And I hadn't really thought about the Thai cave thing. I think I knew it was going on in the background.
It would be weird if he was still thinking about it.
No, I know, but even when the news was there, I wasn't glued to the screen.
Were
you like?
No, I was checking.
Were you on tenterhooks about it?
Well, it's hard to be on tenterhooks for like 3 weeks.
Yeah,
that's kind of the problem. It was like, holy shit, that's still going on.
Yeah, I was on tenterhooks for 3 weeks about Ukraine, maybe 2.
Yeah, that's
bigger.
It is. I don't like to judge, but it is bigger.
But you know what I mean? I didn't feel like gripped at the time at all. I don't even remember that much about it.
No, it seemed like, why can't they get them out? Do you know what I mean? It seemed like not that difficult a feat. But
so I implore you all to either watch the film or the documentary, or just even go on Wikipedia and look at it.
But you can't, I think, watch either, because even when it's like, you can read how they got them out, but it's not quite the same as putting it into perspective.
It is one of the most insane things. I think people don't even just talk about it enough, partly.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe what they managed to achieve.
Yeah.
And the reason why I bring it up almost in conjunction with the Queen's funeral is watching this, and Viggo Mortensen, I think, who played Aragon, and Colin Farrell play these 2 British divers very accurately.
Yeah.
And I've seen interviews with them in real life. So the 2 first divers on the scene, the first...
Spoiler alert?
No, I wouldn't say so.
Okay.
Because there was a Thai Navy SEALs there beforehand, but the two kind of main divers were these British guys. And I feel...
Who do it voluntarily.
I feel I've genuinely... Over the last couple of years, I think it's been quite hard to be proud of being British. It's been like a...
Yeah.
There's been a lot of an onslaught on the identity of Britain or the kind of people it produces.
Yeah.
And even with the Queen's funeral, which is it's sort of its hardest to create a sense of patriotism.
Yeah.
And it did a bit, but I genuinely haven't felt more proud to be British than when I saw those two autistic dads rock up at that cave.
One of them's an IT consultant.
They're so funny to me because it's so familiar. This is, for those of you obviously who don't know, 12 boys and one soccer coach, they went into this cave, which they go in all the time. It's like a tourist cave, which is local to them in northern Thailand. Through this network of caves, and
very long. It's
very
like
long. And then
meters
monsoon season came early, which they would have never predicted. The cave completely filled up, apart from right at the end, miles down.
Yeah.
So they were trapped in this cave under a tight pathway of submerged water. There's no way for them to get out. And the Thai Navy, the Thai government try their best to try and work out how to get out, but they can't even get through because it's so difficult.
They can't get all the way to the buoys.
There's no visibility. There's such strong currents.
You could die in there
easily. It's absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You'd be underwater. I think to get to the buoys, it was a 6-hour dive.
Yeah,
6 hours
to get to the buoys from the
one,
first bit.
One way.
There was like a bit in the middle, which was like you could get out and breathe. But nearly all of it, the rest of it was submerged. These two sort of really long, thin, winding caves underwater open into like a cavern and then back again. And right.
It was a whole mess.
But also, when they arrived, they didn't know the boys were in there for 12 days. Yeah.
Wait, they didn't know?
No one knew. No one knew if they were alive for 12.
Right, yeah. They didn't know if they were alive. I think they knew they were in there.
Took about 10 days to find out if they were dead or alive.
Because no one could get far enough.
No one could get far enough. So you assume they're going to die. And these two guys rock up, and I guess it's setting it in Thailand and just seeing all these Thai people, seeing these two British guys who just don't fit in at all.
No,
they
not at all.
Stick out like sore thumbs. But we know these guys.
We do. We're very familiar with them.
They felt like they had the brand of British autism that is this unique. And there is something... These guys who are amateurs... Technically.
Well, they're not, but because they both have normal jobs. Yeah. One of them is an IT consultant. That is insane. Who then are part of this voluntary group who specialise in cave rescues.
From scuba diving. Well,
and they're the best in the world. It's cave rescues.
And so obviously it's incredibly niche sport. There's very few people who do it worldwide.
Yes. It's not a sport.
What is it? No, it's caving.
No, but they specialise in cave rescues. So they
cave. They didn't train to be cave rescuers.
Yeah,
they love caving.
But caving isn't scuba diving through a cave.
So they love scuba. They
love scuba caving.
So that's what
they're
they
scuba
do.
cavers.
They're scuba cavers, which is one of those insane. You have to have a complete screw loose to even attempt something like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrifying. Caving in itself is insane. I see all those TikToks of those people who are like
squeezing through tight.
Just cannot imagine.
Read a book.
But having that also submerged and you have an oxygen mask that you're also bringing through, I cannot think of anything more terrifying.
Yeah.
But then this sort of attitude they have, which sort of makes sense. It's such a, BB said when watching it, it's such a specific type of masculinity.
Yeah.
You know, because in some ways it's one of the most macho things you can do. But they're not like macho guys.
Yeah, they're just
they literally like guys who work in IT and they sort of speak, no, you're right, mate. Yeah. They're just completely...
Yeah. They're understated almost. They just rock up like, I guess we'll get in the cave then.
Yeah, exactly. I guess we'll get in the cave. I think there was... These guys rocking up, and after just one of the most... It's a world event. They're trying to get all the world's minds to try and work out how to get these kids out of the cave. And you're having these two guys who come up and are like, well, I guess we'll get in the cave then.
Yeah.
For some reason, that moment was the most proud I've felt to be British in a long time. Yeah. Is just having that sort of insane attitude.
Yeah.
And even during the film, when they're going under, you see Colin Farrell's character sort of pushing rocks away.
Yeah.
But just the casualness of just like...
Oh, here we fucking go, yeah. It's like another day at the bloody office. They're almost like that. And
so you don't think we should tell the story?
We can tell the story.
Yeah.
But just maybe timestamp when we've stopped telling the story.
Sure. Because what they actually managed to do is like, I can't. They only got the George Medal. They didn't get the George Cross. So it's like the second tier.
Because it was Thai children, not English children.
Maybe. But
The Queen's a racist.
I can't think of any act of heroism recently.
Well, it is
individual acts of heroism than these guys.
Well, in a lot of it, because yes, and it definitely was.
Yeah.
But these blokes knew what they were doing, so it wasn't. They did risk their lives, because they always risk their lives when they go in, because things can go wrong. You know what I mean? But they were so casual and calm about it.
So casual.
They was just like, yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah, we'll do it. It's fine. Just let us do it. And they were just there was a delay because they were not letting them do it. And they were like, can you just let us do it? Just let us do it. We'll do it.
Because obviously they've got the top people in Thailand to do it, but no one in Thailand is insane enough to do caving.
Yeah.
It's such a niche skill.
Yeah.
There's such a few people in the world who do it. And they all seem to be in English-speaking countries.
But it is because of, we need to say the end of it to get the heroicism in as well. And it's also, it's aggressive pragmatism in their thinking, which was like, and that's kind of heroic in itself. Just like,
it's it's a bravery that's so matter of fact.
Exactly.
It's not Braveheart.
No.
It's not,
it's not going in to charge into battle to your deaths when you're outnumbered 10 to 1.
Yeah, we could maybe pull that off.
It's our only option. Fuck it.
So what they managed to do, which is so insane.
It's a great film.
It's a great film. And it's because, why it's a great film is because they stuck very close to the story and they just had no frills. Like there was no cinematic thing. They let the story speak for itself.
Yeah.
Because as I heard someone say, if that story actually happened and
someone made it,
you wouldn't believe
it. Yeah.
What they did is, after they'd finally found the 13 kids stuck at the other end of this cave, they were like, how the fuck do you get these kids out? Because it's about a 6-hour journey.
6-hour dive.
To get back. And they've managed to get basically 4 divers who are skilled enough to constantly do it. This is it's a very small list of people. There is probably 10
all
people.
English.
All English or Australian. It just comes from that something. Yeah. It's cycling gone too far. Do you know what I mean? You know a cycling dad?
Yeah.
It just feels like they want him more and more, and it's got out of hand. Don't give him an oxygen tank. Do you know what I mean? There's a certain type of British dad where they hit their 40s, the lycra comes out, and they spend their free time and their weekends sort of hiking, cycling, and this is where it's just got really out of hand.
It's too much time around rock.
It's too much time around rock. Now they're scuba caving.
Yeah. Scuba caving.
What happened is, to get them out, they thought,
so they'd been there so they found them and they'd been there because it was a 6-mile dive, 6-hour dive, and so they were like, great. Everyone else was like, great, we found them, now let's just get them out. And they were like, no, because I've seen people, on a 20-minute cave dive who were panicked and then lost it, because if you panic in a scuba suit, you go and drown.
This is people who've been in the cave for 10 days,
malnourished. They're children.
Yeah.
They cannot do, and it took one of the Thai Navy SEALs died trying to get there.
Yeah.
Because there's currents and stuff.
There's currents. There's no visibility.
You've got massive oxygen.
It's the most insane journey.
Yeah.
6 hours crawling underwater with an oxygen mask through all these things. Currents you can't see.
It's unbelievable. I want to watch it again, actually.
Ridiculous.
So you can't just, because our dumbasses think, well, they found the kids, get them out.
Yes.
But no, because they can't do it.
They'll die.
They will 100% die if they try and swim them out. And
then in a freak coincidence, one of the 4 divers who's just about good enough to be to get the cave people out.
The cave people.
The people stuck in the cave. The people stuck in the cave.
The cave people.
I'm not a fan of them as people.
No, frankly, they could have pulled their finger out their arse a bit. These bloody cave people getting stuck in caves, waiting for British men to come and rescue them.
One of the few people who was skilled enough at scuba caving was also a world-renowned, a top expert in anaestheticism. Anesthesiologist, which is basically another unbelievably specific skill, which is putting people under
for operations.
For operations.
So he would have been an anesthesiologist, but also had the hobby of scuba caving.
Yeah, which is a free.
I know a couple.
How the fuck do you have both of those combos and the Venn diagram?
Well, it's just it doesn't. It's very rare, but it also doesn't surprise me.
If you're also doing
If you're an Australian anesthesiologist,
you're going to be scuba caving.
you're going to be scuba caving. Let's be honest with ourselves.
So the idea they came up with, and a lot of the time they
Because
were like,
he wasn't there initially, and it wasn't really by chance.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't there initially. It was
by chance, by the fact that that a person like that even exists.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that they knew him. Because there's clearly this worldwide group of scuba cavers.
They all know each other.
All know, I guess it's quite a niche thing. So they knew an Australian guy who was...
And Bob knew one of the British divers. He knew like the...
Really?
Yeah, because... Yeah.
Well, Bob, I imagine, knows everyone.
Yes.
But so they were trying to work out how they're going to get these kids out.
Yeah.
There was only... They brought out 2 of their other British men or something. And then they were like, let's call Dr. something.
Dr. something.
And then it was well done in the film because it was like, he's not going to go for that. It was like, yeah, but let's get him out here just to say we need a hand. And then we'll give him the idea. And the idea being that, if you haven't already guessed, they'll get the anesthesiologist and the other divers into where the kids were. He would then knock them out
with ketamine.
Well, I think not ketamine wasn't the first one.
Okay.
Because they just said whatever you use for anesthetics, knock them out. So then you'd put the scuba mask on, and because when you get knocked out, you're still breathing, but you're not conscious, so you're not thinking about what's going on.
Yeah.
So if the mask is fastened properly,
hog tie them,
hog tie them, so they can't like wriggle, and so you can move them through this fucking cave, and then along the fucking way, giving them top ups of ketamine.
The top ups, weirdly, of all the insane,
they didn't go into that.
Of all the insane things of that, is already the most mental thing I've ever heard. The thing that, to me, is one of our phones ringing.
Yours. It's fine. Doesn't matter. No, it wasn't me.
I think of the most insane aspects of it was that not only they decided on ketamine, because ketamine means you can still breathe when you're under. That's why one of the few drugs like that when you go under, you can still breathe. But it will only last a certain amount. So when they feel them twitching coming to, they have to give them another dose of ketamine
while you are underwater.
That was the most insane bit.
I didn't see enough of that.
The idea that you see them start twitching, and then they have to be like, all right, give them another one. No matter where you are in the cave, because you can't have them come to and they're fucking underwater, pitch black.
That was the thing, because I was like, right, that's a terrifying idea regardless. But then as soon as I heard the top-ups, I was like, get them fuck off. But they didn't show loads of top-ups. They only showed like one. And I thought the struggle. That's the bit you're like, what the fuck is going on?
And they told them before, people are going to definitely die.
Yeah.
Because this idea, no one's ever tried anything like this before.
They don't even know that it would work to be underwater. They don't even know what worked for any
of them. They thought, best case scenario, the strongest 3 or 4 might make it through.
Yeah.
Most of them are dying. And it feels like they're going to be giving them a lethal injection almost. They're going to be killing these kids.
Yeah. Well, one of them, because it was on the last, they'd got 8 of them out, I think, in 2 rounds. So it was once a day that they're going in, because it's a 12-hour round trip.
It's 6 hours, the whole thing. To get, and there's like insane. 4 people, they're doing a round thing. And they had to choose they
kind of went with the weakest, but the youngest and the smallest, they couldn't find a scuba mask for him or whatever. But then so on the last trip, and the currents were starting to build up, they literally got them out there basically in the nick of time.
Yeah.
And then, but one of them...
The cave submerged 2 days later.
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah.
And then, but one of them on the last one was with one of the divers, and he because through it, you put like a guideline that takes them all the way. So you basically hold on to the line because it's pitch black and you have no idea what's going on.
And by the way, sorry, you're using them like a parcel. So it's tight spaces which you have to wriggle through. This does barely fits one person.
Yeah.
So you have to squeeze through and then like a parcel also get them through. And you've got your oxygen tanks which either side of you.
Which are massive.
And you also have to pass them through just at every turning.
Whilst being underwater for basically 6 hours. It's insane. But then, because one of them lost the guideline.
Yeah.
And because of how heavy all the tanks are and everything, you go down to the bottom and by chance found an electric cable on the floor.
For some of the lighting.
And then got to the nearest bit with air. And then luckily there was another guy because he was freaking out, actually. It's crazy.
Most of the same thing. So
they got them all out.
I reckon they got everyone out without dying. The only people who died were...
one of the SEALs.
One of the Navy SEALs.
And then one of the other... And shows how dangerous the dive was as well, because basically... some of the Navy SEALs went to go and give them food, etc.
Yeah.
But then that's when one of them died.
Yeah.
On the route there. But then they used up too much of their oxygen because there's breathing techniques, specialist breathing techniques when you're diving for that long or something. Yeah. So they used up way too much of their oxygen. So then only one of them had enough oxygen to go back. So like 3 Navy SEALs stayed with the kids for like a week.
Yeah.
And then they were and then they kind of got, then the other divers gave them the oxygen tanks to get back out. But then so they all made it out, but because the current started to get really fucked at that point, I think the last one who got out died later from like a blood infection because he was getting biffed around and the fucking crazy story.
One of the same things. Yeah, so I just recommend rewatching that because I know you probably all have heard the story, but I couldn't.
Is the documentary good?
Apparently, it's better.
Have you not seen it?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
but when you look at the trailer, you see that they just kept it all pretty much the same.
Yeah. It's a fucking crazy film. It's so good.
So yeah, I highly recommend that. That's our Boys Gone Wild, certainly of the week. And yeah, so we'll carry on the rest of the episode on Patreon. Thanks very much for tuning in, guys. We'll
be making some announcements at the Patreon soon.
Yes, we will be. And we'll see you guys next week.